Shalom and welcome again to another exciting edition of Torah Watchman Show International LLC.
Nachman was born on April 4th, 1772, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, into a family of central figures in Hasidism in the town then known as Minzebush in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, now Medjugorje, Ukraine. Initially, he declined to take on his family's tradition of leading Hasidism. Nachman's mother, Feiga, was the daughter of Adil, also spelled Udel, daughter of the Baal Shem Tov. His father Simcha was the son of a Baal Shem Tov disciple for whom Nachman was named, Nachman of Horodenka, who was a seventh-generation lineal descendant of Judah Lo ben Bezalel. Nachman had two brothers, Yechiel Zvi and Yisroel Mes, and a sister Perel. At 13, he married Sashia, daughter of Rabbi Ephraim, and moved to his father-in-law's home in Ossetin. He acquired his first disciple on his wedding day, a young man named Shimon, who was several years older than him. During 1798 to 1799, he traveled from Ukraine to the land of Ottoman Palestine, where he visited Hasidim living in Haifa, Tiberias, and Safed. He arrived in Galilee right before Napoleon's battle with the Turks. This journey, which he saw as a private rite of passage, was often looked back on as a source of inspiration for him. In Tiberias, his influence brought about a reconciliation between the Lithuanian and Volhynian Hasidim. On his return from Ottoman Palestine, he was ready to assume the mantle of leadership in Hasidism, which he did in a highly selective manner. In his early years of leadership, he made each disciple confess all of his sins to him, as well as participate in a daily hour-long conversation with God. Shortly before Rosh Hashanah 1800, Nachman moved to the town of Zlatopol. In 1802, Nachman moved to the town of Bratslav, also known as Breslov and Bratslav. His move to the town of Breslov brought him into contact with Nathan Sternhartz, a 22-year-old Torah scholar in the nearby town of Nemirov. Sternhartz recorded all of Nachman's formal lessons as well as transcribing his work Likutei Moharan, the first authoritative translation of Rabbi Nachman's magnum opus, presented with facing, punctuated Hebrew text, full explanatory notes, source references, and supplementary information relating to individual lessons. After Nachman's death, Sternhartz recorded informal conversations he and other disciples had had with Nachman, whose works he published with his own commentaries on them. Nachman and his wife Sasha had 6 daughters and 2 sons. 2 daughters died in infancy, and the 2 sons both died within a year and a half of their births. Around the birth of his first son, Shlomo Ephraim, in 1805, a messianic awakening occurred in the circle surrounding Nachman. He began to speak of the coming of the Messiah, who would embody both the Messiah, son of David, and the Messiah, son of Joseph, in a single figure, possibly alluding to his son, whose name includes both son of David and son of Joseph. In 1806, Shlomo Ephraim passed away, an event that caused a major crisis among the Breslov Hasidim and led to a decline in messianic expectations. Their surviving children were Adil, Sarah, Miriam, and Chaya. Sashia died of tuberculosis in June 1807, and the following month Nachman became engaged to a woman named Trachtenberg. Right after the engagement, Nachman contracted tuberculosis. In 1810, after a fire destroyed Nachman's home, a group of Maskilim, Jews belonging to the Jewish Enlightenment movement, living in Uman, invited him to live in their town and provided housing for him as his illness worsened. However, this was not the sole impetus for his relocation to Uman. In 1768, the massacre of Uman took place. resulting in the brutal deaths of thousands of Jews, who were subsequently interred in a mass grave. Rabbi Nachman chose to move to this site with the intention of aiding in the spiritual redemption of the departed souls. As Arthur Green wrote, Nachman decided upon Uman as a home in order to work with the poor souls of those martyred Jews, and in order to be buried among them when his own time came to die. Nachman died of tuberculosis at the age of 38 in the early autumn on the 4th day of Sukkot, 1810, and was buried in the local Jewish cemetery. The Nachman movement of today is the contemporary iteration of Breslov Hasidism, based on the teachings of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, 1772-1810. The movement continues to be vibrant and diverse, with followers spanning the spectrum from traditional ultra-Orthodox communities to modern, spiritually seeking Jews. No living Rebbe, Rabbi Nachman, did not appoint a successor, and the movement has famously gone without a central living leader since his death. Followers consider Nachman himself to be the Rebbe forever, and the movement's guidance comes from his extensive writings. Emphasis on joy. Rabbi Nachman taught that it is a great mitzvah to be happy, believing that joy is an essential tool for spiritual growth. This is a defining feature of the movement, evident in singing, dancing, and general exuberance. Personal prayer, a core practice, is hit bodhidut, or secluded meditation, where an adherent speaks to God in his or her own words, talking to a friend. Followers are encouraged to practice this for an hour each day, preferably outdoors. Pilgrimage to Uman. Rabbi Nachman's burial place in Uman, Ukraine, is a major pilgrimage site. Tens of thousands of followers gather there annually for Rosh Hashanah, a tradition that has continued even amidst conflict in the region. The Tikkun HaKlali, Rabbi Nachman revealed a special general remedy consisting of reciting 10 specific psalms as a path to spiritual rectification. Rabbi Nachman's teachings, along with those of other Hasidic masters, have contributed to a growing new theology today called Neo-Hasidut, a contemporary Jewish spiritual renewal movement driven by disenchantment with the secular world and spiritual hunger. As opposed to traditional Hasidism that ascribes its beliefs to one particular Rebbe, Neo-Hasidism finds inspiration in a wide variety of Hasidic sources and teachers, and generally traditional Hasidic attitudes toward gender, secular thought, and non-Jews are rejected or reinterpreted. In this movement, Rabbi Nachman's radical spiritual teachings are reaching ever wider audiences of Jews. Rabbi Yisroel Ber Odesser was a Breslover Hasidic rabbi, c. 1880-1994, known as Saba, grandfather. He was a devoted follower of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, and is most famous for his claim to have received a letter from heaven from Rabbi Nachman in 1922, which contained the phrase Nach Nachman Meuman. This mystical message, revealed later in his life, became the core of the Nach movement, a segment of Breslover Hasidism that spread through the song and name. The Nach movement is a subgroup of the Breslov Hasidim and is considered a form of ultra-Orthodox Judaism, albeit a distinct one with unique characteristics like their emphasis on joyous dancing and spreading happiness to others. While they shared the strict observance and adherence to religious law with other ultra-Orthodox groups, they are known for their more outwardly expressive, countercultural approach to spirituality, often involving techno music and street performances. Personal prayer central. While they attend synagogues, a core part of their practice is hitbodedut, private prayer and meditation in seclusion. Rabbi Nachman emphasized the importance of this personal connection to God, and Nachs follow this. Sometimes engaging in loud, ecstatic prayer. Unique prayer style. A Nanak's prayer within a synagogue might differ stylistically from other congregants. Their joyous, often boisterous form of worship, which sometimes includes loud singing and bellowing, can sometimes alienate more mainstream Orthodox congregations. Less traditional focus, more established Breslov groups generally place greater emphasis on the study of traditional Jewish texts like the Talmud, whereas Nanaks focus more heavily on ecstatic worship. This does not, however, mean they abandon synagogue worship entirely. Pro-Zionist and pro-IDF stance. Unlike many Haredim who view the secular Israeli state as illegitimate, Nanaks often express strong support for both the government and the IDF. IDF conscription. Many Nanach Breslovers serve in the Israeli army voluntarily, while mainstream Haredi groups oppose mandatory military conscription for their yeshiva students. Zionist support. Some Breslov sources argue that their love for the land of Israel aligns with a form of Zionism, though this does not represent the entire movement. Unlike for anti-Zionism of major Haredi movements like Satmar or Chabadniks, Nanak's ideology does not preclude cooperation with the secular state. Messianic motivation. For some Nanaks, supporting the Jewish presence and control of the Holy Land is tied to their messianic beliefs. This contrasts with the anti-Zionist view that a secular state cannot bring about the messianic age, and that only God can redeem the land. As a proud Karaite Jew and Torah scholar, I totally reject Orthodox rabbinical Judaism with emphasis on the Talmud over the Torah. However, the growing Nach movement, primarily found in Israel, nurtures the child within my heart to dance like King David when he brought the ark to Jerusalem for the first time. I see no conflict of interest here, for we are all Yehudim in the end. Let's leave Orthodox legalism at the door and worship God through His Torah before the world through loving kindness. Credits to Hacham Yar Ben-Emmett with the Torah Watchman Show International LLC. Shana Tova, a good new year for you and your families.
Rabbi Nachman, Nachman Meuman, Nachman Meuman, Rabbi Nachman Meuman, Rabbi Nachman, Nachman Meuman, Nachman Meuman, Rabbi Nachman Meuman, Rabbi Nachman, Nachman Meuman, Nachman Meuman, Rabbi Nachman Meuman, Rabbi Nachman, Nachman Meuman, Nachman Meuman, Rabbi Nachman Meuman.
If you've enjoyed this program, please click like and subscribe.